came up with a fact sheet that actually didn't cover everything that he did. There's other stuff that the Labor Board did that isn't in this
Humble
page.
Biden, huh?
Yeah, Biden, although an incrementalist, he's done some really good things. He goes over, clean energy investments, some of it done by the Inflation Reduction Act, basically saying that, we're going to help, combustion engine facilities go toward clean electric,
I don't know if he talks about it here, but I actually covered one of his projects. Yeah, the Brownfields projects are a set of projects where they take land that was used previously to do like oil refinery.
Yeah.
So basically contaminated land and turning it into like useful infrastructure, like water purification.
Yeah.
Or recycling plants, that type of thing. So basically trying to, because that land's also cheaper than the land around it. So it's trying to revitalize the economy while also cleaning up.
Physically conservative. Use the cheap land to do these projects.
It's a very smart approach.
Yeah.
He's getting a lot more out of the money than I think than you would expect.
Yeah. And he is spending a lot of money though. Billions of dollars, $2 billion in the conversion grants program, $10 billion in giving loans for conversions or in capital for auto factory conversions.
Electric vehicles are important.
Yeah, but going down...
I got it.
He started making stuff like the Work Center to provide information for people who want to start unions. He went over how, a lot of people, they want to start a union, but they don't know how, right? They have the will, but not the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good, a lot of people, they know what they want, but they don't know how to get it. And in a time like today where there's stuff like Starbucks unionizing, and you see a bunch of like fast food places like this big single McDonald's stores that are trying to become unionized to like worker efforts, giving them the ability to start unionizing is good. Get them to have higher wages, more
better
benefits,
overtime protections, lots of stuff, increasing wages.
And that's one thing he did was also protections for overtime workers who are salaried.
We can go over the various accomplishments, but I think the takeaway I guess we should probably get from this is he indeed the most pro-labor president we've had? Mm-hmm. I would argue he wasn't the most pro-labor candidate we've had.
Well, you talk about candidates, sure, yeah. Bernie that would have been a lot better, but...
And the reason I bring up Bernie is because why bring up Bernie? He's a has-been, but I kind of want to make the point that I don't think we would have had this without Bernie, which is a credit to incrementalism. Like, I think the fact that Bernie existed forced Biden to go left.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like, there was no way he could have won. Like, he would have... What happened to Hillary?
Mm-hmm.
She got swamped. And... Biden managed to avoid that by appealing to us, at least on some level, with the $2,000 stimulus checks, or $1,600, whatever, with the with the stimulus checks, with the bailout, with the student.
One thing Biden did have worse was for Social Security.
The attempts at the student refunds. I mean, he's actually tried.
Yeah,
he's actually tried.
Although, if you look at the video, we go over how. Student debt, it helps people that are like 45.
Well, because he got cut off by the Supreme Court.
That's true.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he tried. He did actually give that effort. And I think this is probably some of his most ambitious work overall. But here's the problem, I think, and I wonder if this is a recurring theme in politics. Democrats and Republicans only try the most ambitious things when they know it's going to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a virtue signal.
It's a virtue, like.
But then again, there are tangible things like you see here. The Department of Labor released a proposal to go down.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically securing overtime benefits for salaried workers, going up to roughly $55,000 per year. So if you worked overtime, you were secured to get your time plus a half of your hourly wage.
Yeah, but how would you be able to report it?
Well, this is mainly just for federal. They'd be required to.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also another thing, right? This isn't just for America as a whole. A lot of the stuff he's doing is for federal contractors, federal workers.
I mean, that sets a standard for a lot of people.
And it also makes it so then you'd rather work for federal contractors and federal workers.
Yeah, it makes the federal government appealing.
And competitive with the private market. Mm-hmm. Which a lot of people will say, I'd rather work private than federal. Well, now Biden's coming out saying, well, you'd actually be paid more federally.
Yeah,
which is good, because that's the biggest point against working federal.
We treat you like a person.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Mm.
So
Sometimes.
that's the thing, right? That it's incremental.
Yeah.
It just makes you wonder what a Bernie presidency would have looked like. Someone who could you imagine what a Green New Deal would have looked like?
It's true, but would he have gotten it passed?
Well, I'm saying having someone who would have even pushed for it. Could you imagine what even a scaled down version of it would have looked like?
I would have liked to have seen a world where Bernie was just there, going to red states, getting workers to like agree with him and push those local initiatives. Because I don't know if he would have been able to get it through Congress, but I think he would have just done a lot more, like just pushing, like going to red states, pushing workers and like lower income people to vote and fight for those things in those areas.
I think, regardless of how you get a Green New Deal in, I think that would have been a very interesting thing to see.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could see him doing that, especially with the cabinet he brings in.
Yeah.
Like with the directors and all that he brings in, definitely. So, I guess, good, but it's characteristic, I guess, of the Democrats. But I will say, it does seem like we're making a lot more progress than we did even with, like, Obama. You know, it's like, Obama's big thing was jobs, and that was, like, the big thing he bragged about near the, during his election was how many jobs he makes. So it is good that he is... It seems like Biden is leading with the pro-working working people's
is
foot.
good. A lot of people are not doing well during this time. They haven't been doing well for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And, it just seems like he will win.
And I will say this. We've had a wave of union movements in the last few years, and I think if
Starbucks, you look at Amazon's attempts.
I genuinely think if Trump was still in power, we wouldn't be seeing that wave right now.
No, he'd probably be pro company.
Very.
And you look at some stuff that the labor board did on the national level. They said, basically, if you see a company and during unionizing effort, they start doing anti-union or anti-organizing things, then they would have to recognize the union. Because the fact that you have to put efforts against the union election, the fact that you have to go against it in that way, it shows that you know you have to do it because they would win. And that was the thing where I'm like, that's great. That's something that Trump would never do.
100%, yes. So while I have my criticisms, we can do better. I think the one thing that we should remember, though, because incrementalism, we can always do better.
Yeah.
There's always more that can be done. There's always more that he can do. But we should also, while at the same time, acknowledge what Biden has achieved and push him to do more of it. Because it's not enough.
Would have been nice.
I think that's the best tagline. It's not enough.
Yeah.
Good. Do more. Continue, So that's the attitude I'm coming away from this with. Which I have more faith that he would than Trump, so, shill, I guess.